Hello Math Cats. Let's look at a graphing utility I made mostly with teachers in mind. If you have a particular lesson that you're trying to get across about graphing and you want something that's dynamic illustrator of equations, you might pick this program called Graphing2D. Since it uses two unknowns, both x and y, it would be under the menu where it says Algebra XY 2 unknowns. And it's right here by this little Egyptian Graph2D. And you can see I've got to move this so that it can come over here. You can see that I have put the ability to put in several functions and two vertical lines, and then I've given a table of values over on the right. I'm going to put it over here where you can see this graphing utility. Let's just look at the function y1, and you see I've got some scroll bars here, and the way that I've set this up is that if you click on the arrow on this scroll bar, the value in front of the x, the coefficient of the x, will change to 1/10. And if you click in the white space, it will change to a 1. So you have the ability to graph by tenths or by whole integer units. So if a teacher were explaining what the equation y equals 1x looks like, they can see the line, and then they can see the lattice points under this y1 table with the x, and then 2x, you can see how the points change. And I made it also that you could click points on the graph if you wanted to point out a particular place that passed through the line. You could click on lattice points, like you could click on these lattice points. You can remove those points. So like right here, if we wanted to say the point 1, 2, 1, 2 is on our line, you could do that. And then the b, y equals mx plus b, you could see how that the line moves up or down. Now, one thing that I did to make everything clearer when you're explaining both equations, you can see you could use this for when you just introduce equations, but when you get to inequalities, if you click on the equal sign, the graph changes, and you can see this is greater than, and you see that it's shading above, or trying to indicate a shading above, and the line itself is turned into a dashed line, and you click again, we get greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, less than, and then back to the equality. So this utility could go a long way. Even when you get into Algebra 2 and linear programming, you have several lines that you can create and indicate different shadings so that you can get a region for linear programming. That was a message for the teachers. Students, if you're trying to see what an equation looks like, you can use this. You can use your calculator, of course. But that's something I think would be a more useful utility, because it's on a computer. It has more functionality than on a calculator. If I push start over again, everything goes back to 0, and all the equations are y is 0, y is 0, y is 0, and you can start again. So this is a utility. I have a second utility. I'll close this one that I wrote many years before this one. And here's a graphing utility, and I didn't know as much about programming then. But here you can actually type in the line that you want, choose the color of the line, and 6, maybe we don't want to go up that high, so say -3 or something, and push graph. And then I give a table on that one. On the last function, it doesn't do the inequality like that other one does, but I put down here a trace value so you could see where your mouse was located. And this was my first attempt at making something similar to a calculator, but I think the first program is actually more useful. But you could put in another one, like you could leave that blue graph here and then put in a -1x and change your graph to like green, and graph that and get the two equations together. So if you wanted to look at graphing a system of equations, and there is a worksheet that I have where the students take equations in standard form and put them into y equals mx plus b form, and then solve a system by graphing. but I only give the table of values for the last equation entered, not like that first utility I showed you, which was actually written after this one and modified what I thought I would like to have. See here, a worksheet of problems in standard form for a solution by graphing is available. So if you look in the folder where these programs are located, you'll find the Microsoft Word worksheet for a set of equations for students to solve by graphing. Thanks.